Welcome to Movie Slice. Quick, fun recaps of your favorite movies, sharp, funny, and to the point. Hit subscribe and get your perfect slice of cinema. The story of the film Hero Alone begins with an American family consisting of the father Jason, the mother Anne, and a baby girl. The mother and father were in a hurry, packing their clothes and belongings to leave their home and migrate. Suddenly the electricity goes out. All that we saw happened in the past, and this scene takes us to the present time, where we see Anne living alone in the forest, relying on insects and nature for food. We see her setting up traps to catch animals. Then we return to the past and see Jason and Anne fleeing in their car. After packing their things, we learn that there is a virus spreading in the city. Its symptoms are a skin rash on the lower abdomen and chest, accompanied by hallucinations or involuntary violence. They escape from there because of this virus. We return to the present and see Anne opening the car they escaped in. She goes inside and grabs her phone, which looks like a toy her daughter used to play with. The next morning, Anne goes to the trap she set and finds it empty, so she gets angry because she is hungry and has nothing to eat. As she returns to the car, she remembers the past, when Jason taught her how to hunt with a weapon. Back to the present, we see her wounding herself and collecting the blood in a bottle, then smearing her whole body with a black substance like mud. When she finishes, she puts on her clothes, takes her bag and weapon, and goes to another part of the forest. She arrives at a house surrounded by a metal fence. There, Anne takes out her daughter's toy, turns it on, pours blood on it, throws it at the fence and runs away. She goes to another side of the house, throws her bag and enters under the fence. She starts sneaking into the house afraid. When she enters, she finds two dead people inside. Suddenly, she hears a scary sound, runs to the kitchen, takes as much food as she can, puts it in her bag, and leaves the house. Suddenly, a group of zombies attack her. Anne runs immediately, and they chase her. As she crawls out from under the fence, her stomach is injured. She presses on herself, stands up, and most of the food she took falls out. Quickly, she returns to her place, washes off the substance, and starts sewing up her wound, screaming in pain. When she finishes, she turns on the radio to hear the news. Her mind drifts back, and she remembers a day when Jason returned from the forest injured. They got in the car and drove off. She asked him what happened. He said there were food boxes, and when he approached them, he was attacked. She tells him he used to be able to avoid them before. He says he doesn't know, even though there aren't enough dead people, but they didn't attack anyone, except him. He tried to escape and took shelter in a house, but he was bleeding, and they were able to locate him by his blood. She asks if he could recognize them. He says yes, part of them is human. Back to the present, Anne remembers the rest of the food that fell out, and tells them, "You are infected." The girl tells her, "No." Anne throws her weapon and gets closer to them. She sees the man is injured in the head, and bleeding, so she decides to help them, and takes them to her place. She starts treating him, then sits and talks with the girl. We learn her name is Olivia, and the man's name is Chris, who is her mother's fiancé. She tells Anne they are from South America, and her mother and Chris were planning to get married in September, but the virus swept the world, and everything changed. The next morning, Anne and Olivia set up traps to catch animals. Anne teaches Olivia about the substance they use to cover their bodies, so zombies can't smell them. This substance prevents zombies from recognizing them. Olivia and Anne turn on the radio and listen to the news. Suddenly, Chris wakes up, comes and sits with them, and says, "The tent, the car and the independent place you have, people are fighting over those things now, and Anne is lucky to have them." Anne tells him, "I only use the car to shelter from the rain." He gets up, thanks her for her kindness, and goes to the tent to sleep. The next morning, it rains heavily. Anne calls them to come into the car to shelter from the rain. They do, and Chris asks her how long she has been living here. She says that when the infection spread, she and her husband moved to this place. Then she takes out food and they start eating together. Chris talks about why he couldn't marry Olivia's mother. We learn that Olivia's mother got infected, and small circular ulcers appeared on her stomach. He says her condition worsened, and after a few days, she attacked Olivia, and tried to hit her, but Anne restrained her, and tied her to the bed while she screamed loudly. They left her tied up for several days, and all she did was scream. Anne asks him what happened next. He says they got tired of her screaming, so he took a knife from the kitchen, and stabbed it into her ear. As he pushed the knife in, she stopped screaming. He thinks she forgave him because he loved her, and couldn't bear to see her suffer. They keep talking until it gets dark. The next morning, Olivia and Anne wake up and eat. Then they all go fishing in the lake, but there are no fish, so they return disappointed. At night, Chris and Anne sit together. Anne tells him, You know the circles you saw on your fiance's stomach. Jason and I saw them before the outbreak, before people even knew. Here we learn that Anne and Jason were nurses working in the ER. They often got patients with stomachs oozing pus and blood, and they also restrained them to beds. She says she still can't forget what happened. Chris says he won't forget either, and he leaves to sleep. Anne remembers when her daughter's fever spiked, and she didn't have medicine to lower it. She told Jason, "You brought us here, so you're responsible for protecting and providing for us," and asked him to go find medicine for their daughter. Jason covered himself with the substance that repels zombies, and Anne helped him. Then Jason said goodbye and left. Back to the present, we see Olivia asking Chris to leave and take Anne with them. He says, "We will leave, but not now. Anne helped and hosted us, so we have to be grateful to her." After a few hours, Olivia and Anne are breaking a tree trunk, and Olivia asks, "Why do you live alone here?" Anne replies, "Those who were with me, the same thing happened to them. Those who became everyone's families." And then we see Chris talking to her and saying, "If Olivia and I head north, will you come with us? Maybe we'll find a safer place to live, better than living in the wilderness." Anne refuses to go with them, because she's adapted to her place. Then we see the three of them swimming together in the sea, and it seems Chris has started to get closer to Anne. The next day, Olivia asks Chris, "Why do you want Anna to come with you?" He tells her it's because she can take care of herself, and if it weren't for her, he would have been dead, and she would be alone. Then we see Anne and Olivia sitting together. Olivia asks her, "What's the story of your marriage?" Anne tells her, "Our story happened on a Friday. When I found out I was pregnant from him, I told him, but he didn't care and left me. At night, he came back drunk, sat at the edge of the bed, and brought me this ring. So I agreed, and we got married." Olivia tells her, "Chris took my mom to the beach at sunset, proposed to her there, and my mom was very happy." We go back to the past and see Anne carrying her daughter on her back, finding her husband Jason lying dead on the ground. She approaches him and takes the medicine box from his hand. After a few hours, we see her leaving her daughter in the car. She takes her weapon and sneaks into the house in the woods, looking for food. She enters the house and finds a girl inside, infected with the virus, turned into a zombie. Anne kills her immediately, but her clothes get stained with blood. She returns immediately to her crying daughter, opens the car, sits, and holds her daughter to calm her down, but notices her daughter's face is smeared with blood from her jacket. Back to the present, we see Olivia trying to take care of herself, so Chris will like her because she loves him, and is starting to get jealous of Anne. But at this time Chris is with Anne, sleeping next to her in the car. Olivia sees them, and gets up. The next morning, Olivia wakes up, takes the radio, and starts walking. As she walks, she sees a girl infected with the virus, who has turned into a zombie. Chris and Anne wake up and realize Olivia left them. Suddenly, while searching for her, they hear a zombie sound. Chris runs toward the sound. Anne grabs her weapon and follows him. They see the zombie attacking Olivia, trying to bite her. Olivia fights back. Chris arrives and grabs the zombie, hits it. Then Anne arrives and tries to shoot it, but the gun jams. She hits the zombie and pushes it off Chris. Chris takes the gun and shoots the zombie. Anne treats Olivia's wounds and asks if the zombie touched her or got anything in her mouth. Olivia says no, that didn't happen. Chris says, "Surely the food is running out in the houses, and the zombies are coming out, so we have to leave immediately." Back to the past, we see Anne playing with her little daughter, but suddenly, while changing clothes, she discovers there are ulcerated circles on her stomach. She tries to treat them by dipping cloth pieces in hot water and applying them to the sore. Back to the present, Anne confronts Chris. Because he's upset she refused to go with them. He tells her, "If you stay here, you might die." She says, "Yes, I deserve to die. I consider it self-punishment. I promised my daughter I'd stay here. I also killed my wife in front of my daughter. Accept reality, what happened, and move on." Anne thinks about his words, and then tells them, "We need more food. I can't secure it alone." Chris tells her, "I'll help you." Olivia says, "I'll help too." Now we see them as a team, painting themselves with the substance. Anne tells Olivia, "Chris will distract them, and you and I will fill our bags with food. If you see them before we finish, run, and don't worry about me. I can save myself." They go to the same house Anne entered at the beginning of the video. Chris goes to the front door and smears himself with blood to attract the zombies' attention. The zombies come out of the house. Meanwhile, Anne and Olivia enter the house. The zombies smell Chris's blood and attack him directly, so he runs away. Anne and Olivia enter the kitchen. Anne tells her, "Take any food you see." Oliva doesn't listen and keeps wandering around the house. Anne finishes her task, but suddenly is shocked by something and falls to the ground. Oliva takes the opportunity, ties Anne's hands to one of the kitchen cabinet doors, screams at her loudly, then leaves her and escapes. Chris returns to the other side and washes the blood off himself. Anne regains consciousness, tries to free her hands, and eventually succeeds. She washes the substance off herself, then hides in the freezer. After a few hours, Anne gets out of the freezer, takes her weapon, and as soon as she leaves, she sees a zombie and kills it immediately. At this time, Oliva reaches Chris. He asks her about Anne, but suddenly, a group of zombies attacks them. Oliva gets into the car, and Chris starts fighting them one by one. Anne arrives and starts shooting at them. Back to the past, we see Anne making milk for her daughter, but she cuts her hand and gets blood in the milk. Back to the present, we see all the zombies are dead, but among them is Chris, who was killed by the zombies. Anne, seeing the situation, decides to forgive Oliva. She takes Oliva, and they escape in the car to look for a safe place to live. Here is the end of the movie. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next